Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the RIA podcast. This is Seth Greene here today with Ali Hashemian of KineticInvestments.com. Ali, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started in the financial services business?
It's funny. My father was actually in this business, and I fought it, kicking and screaming. I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, anything besides a financial advisor. But it was kind of in my blood. Math and numbers came to me pretty naturally, and so I couldn't avoid it. Eventually, I never ended up working for my father. I went into the industry on my own. He pointed me in some right directions, but I never worked for him, which was great because I got my own footing in the business. But I ended up working for a large financial institution, Allianz, which is a big global conglomerate. And that's where I got most of my training and my knowledge. And then after a couple of promotions, they ended up wanting to move me to Minneapolis, but I live in beautiful California and I wasn't willing to make that shift. So I started Kinetic at that point.
Awesome. How'd you come up with the name?
I was always attracted to things that have energy and power. And so that, energy and motion kind of energy always related to me. And so that's where the name came from, basically.
Awesome. And then how you're competing against, especially in LA, so many other financial services firms. How do you stand out? How do you differentiate yourself?
Customization, holistic planning, and independence. I think this day and age, especially higher net worth client is really looking for an advisor that can give them holistic planning, meaning not just selling them an investment portfolio or a product, but also taking into consideration tax efficiencies, retirement planning, insurance planning, estate planning. I'm a CFP, certified financial planner, and a chartered financial consultant. So we really believe in that holistic planning aspect. And so that's one of the key ways we stand out is looking at the whole picture and helping clients with every piece of it. And then being independent, just not having a specific product or a portfolio that we're trying to push down the throat of a client. A lot of big firms have some great things to offer, but one of the bad things is that they usually have certain products or portfolios on their shelf that they want to promote. And so that's not always in the best interest of the client.
Got it. So how do you achieve that holistic approach? Because you can't wear every hat. You're not also an accountant. You're not also a lawyer. You don't play them on TV. So talk a little bit about kind of like the network that you've built to pull that off.
And by the way, I could play them on TV. I'm an excellent actor. No, I'm kidding. You can't do this on your own. Team approach is really the best way of handling this. I look at myself as kind of the coach here, making sure that I get all the right players in the game that are needed. But I can't do it all on my own. We have a great estate planning attorney contact that we use for the estate planning side. We got great CPA contacts that we use for the tax planning side. But my clients come to me to help them coordinate all of this to work cohesively together to create a comprehensive financial plan.
Awesome. So you've kind of taken like almost the outsourced multifamily office approach. How do you quarterback that team?
It's hard, it's all about finding the right people that can do the best job for the lowest cost for our clients. It takes years of experience, but that's what they come to us for, is that they don't have those contacts. They don't have that experience themselves. So they're looking to us, not necessarily to be the expert on everything, but to have the resources and the knowledge to point them in the right direction.
Awesome. And then what do you feel, I mean, you talked about the holistic approach. You also aren't necessarily the most plain vanilla investment guy. So how have you just kind of skewed contrarian in that department?
One of the other things that clients look for from a financial advisor is access, meaning getting things that they can't get themselves. It doesn't mean necessarily that we have to sell them funky stuff. I mean, I don't do any private placement stuff. I don't do any alternative stuff or anything like that. But it does mean that I want to put them in products and portfolios that they can't just go and buy themselves online. And so we look at things that they really need institutional access to. So on the investment side, we really look at managed portfolios that they couldn't access themselves on their own without having a financial advisor. And so there's some value in using us just because of the access.
Absolutely. What do you like best about what you do?
People. I'm always been a people person. It's a little bit harder in this pandemic that we're going through right now as we're having to do everything via Zoom. But even in this pandemic, I love talking to people over the phone and seeing them, whether it's virtually or in person. I like dealing with the human aspect of this. It makes it more of an art than a science because no two people are exactly the same. I have clients in similar positions, but there's no two families that have the exact same financial situation. And so that makes it a little bit creative.
Absolutely. But how do you scale that customization?
It's through people again. There's a lot of ways to automate certain things to make it more efficient, but at the end of the day, I believe that financial advisory requires a human touch to it. There's no artificial intelligence or algorithm that can really assess a person's emotion to their money. And so I think that scale really comes from more people, more advisors. And so we've continued to grow our firm by continuing to expand our offices and advisory services throughout different states.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about the structure of that. How many advisors encompass Kinetic? What does the team look like? The admin and support staff look like? Tell us a little bit about the team.
We're headquartered in downtown Los Angeles. We actually just moved into a new office in the US Bank Tower in downtown LA, which is a great building, iconic building in all the movies, and we got a great space in there. We got 27 full-time employees operational in that office that handle everything from our concierge services to our new business processing to our case design and analysis. And then we have advisors throughout the country, currently about 50 advisors throughout the country in various different offices. That use the headquarters in downtown Los Angeles as their support staff, but are operating locally in their own territories so that they can have face-to-face contact with their clients. That offers them, the advisors, an opportunity to offer clients great service, great operation without having to worry about the hiring, training, all of the stuff that comes along with a back office support system.
Absolutely, and that's an awesome umbrella that you've built over it all. How often are you touching your clients and how are you touching them?
At least once a quarter. That's our mantra. Once every 3 months, you're going to hear from us. Whether or not you want to hear from us, you're going to hear from us every quarter at least. In between those quarterly meetings, clients can feel free to reach out to us. And if there's something happening in the market or the economy that we think is relevant and timely, we will reach out to our clients proactively in between those quarterly meetings. But I like to say that the quarterly meetings are not just important for the client to be up to date on what's going on, but it's also important for us as an advisor. It keeps us accountable and responsible to the client, and it also keeps us in touch with them so that we know what changes are going on. It's not every day that the client just picks up the phone and says, hey, by the way, I'm thinking about taking a big vacation or doing a big remodel on my home. But by doing these quarterly meetings, these things come up, and so we're able to address them.
Awesome. And then who's an ideal client for you?
ideal client is a client that has a fair amount of assets. We traditionally work with a client that has $500,000 or more in investable assets. And they're looking for outside help that is more than just buying a portfolio or buying a product, like I mentioned. They are more interested in getting their whole financial life together through tax efficiencies, through estate planning, through all these different pieces, and making sure that it all works together. Our clients traditionally are very successful in their own industry, so they're not very much do-it-yourselfers. They are too busy doing what they do well, and so they want to hire a professional to handle the financial aspect of things.
Talk a little bit about the investment management side. Talk about that team and kind of the philosophy.
Our investment management philosophy is pretty simple. We believe that there's no way to predict the market, and so there's no use in trying to predict what's going to happen to the market. Instead, our philosophy is position the client in a situation where they can react to whatever happens in the market. So if the market goes up, they're enjoying life, but if the market goes down, they have powder on the sidelines ready to get in the market and take advantage of those downturns. So that's the way our investment management team structures our portfolios, as well as the plans for the client, is in a manner where they are happy no matter what's happening in the market or the economy.
And then how have you communicated to them, and we're not asking for any investment specifics on the show, obviously, but how have you talked to them and what are you telling them as we're recording this during the height of the COVID pandemic? What have you told them about the market volatility we've seen in the last 8 months and about the election coming up, stuff like that?
I think that the pandemic coupled with the election definitely creates an uneasy and uncertain marketplace with a lot of potential volatility. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily convinced that either one of them or both of them together can cause the next big recession or the next big crash. You have to remember, most of the things that have caused these big recessions, like in the 2000 tech wreck or in the 08-09 subprime mortgage, are things that Wall Street didn't really see coming and they couldn't price into the market. Whereas the pandemic, we pretty much know what's going on at this point, and election, we've always known when that's coming. So I believe the thing that is really going to kill the market or really crash the market is something that we don't see coming. One of our investment professionals says the murderer is lurking in the bushes. We just don't know where they are or when they're going to shoot, basically. So that's what we are looking out for. And again, I don't think that there's any way to predict it, because I think the next big crash will be caused by something that none of us see coming, including Wall Street.
I think I'm going to have to quote you on the murder example. How do you generate the referral rate that you're getting among your existing clients? What are you doing to kind of make that happen?
Two things, and we believe in these two things like a religion. Number one is service. We believe in giving our clients exemplary service, what we call concierge service. So we want them to really feel like they have a financial concierge at their fingertips for everything related to their financial life. I have clients that call me when they're thinking about buying versus leasing a car, on what the right method is, when they're thinking about refinancing their mortgages, everything related to their financial life. If it has a dollar or a number attached to it, they call us. So service is a big thing. But the second thing, and I think a lot of advisors and a lot of clients don't pay enough attention to this, is performance. The numbers don't lie. We use portfolios that have long track records that go back 15 plus years. So we know what they've done. And when clients work with us and benchmark us against another advisor or another portfolio, we tend to win. And so I like to say that service is one thing, the story is important, it's good to feel warm and fuzzy, but again, don't forget the numbers, because performance matters.
Absolutely. And what would you say, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself right now on the day you started Kinetic?
Enjoy the moment. I always wanted to create a bigger and bigger company, and I think we've done a great job of doing that. But I miss the days when we were small, when there was just two of us working out of a garage. I wouldn't go back necessarily, but I would definitely pause and soak in those joys of being a little bit smaller back then when we were. If I were talking to a new advisor starting a new firm, I would say, always strive to grow, always strive to become bigger and better, but don't forget the present. Enjoy the moment.
That's great advice. I know you're a voracious consumer of content. What are 3 of your favorite books?
Ooh, that's a great question, actually. I am a big reader of industry books. So I read a lot of things in our industry, and I do a lot of studying, meaning I go back to my CFP books and read them like they're Harry Potter novels. I know I sound like a financial...
I was going to say, you may be one of 10 people who does that, but that's awesome.
But I actually enjoy them. I read them cover to cover, and I find them exciting. There's a recent book that I picked up that's great called Irrational Predictability. It talks about behavioral science of people and how they make decisions. I really like that book as well.
It's on my phone as we speak.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that's a great book. And then, not to plug myself, but I love my own book. I still read it. Overtaxed is a great book that always reminds me a little bit about the tax-free strategies. And even as a financial advisor, even as the author of that book, I sometimes forget to implement those strategies for myself. So I go back in it, and the nice thing about that book is it has a pros and cons at the end of each chapter. So if I just want to cheat and kind of remind myself of all the great tax-free strategies, I go back and flip to the end of each chapter. And so I use that as a little bit of a training module for myself.
That's awesome. Who inspires you? Who do you listen to? Who do you watch? Who do you say, man, I got to catch up to that guy?
There's a lot nowadays, especially, you know, with us being stuck in our houses a little bit more. You have a lot more opportunity to watch all these documentaries and everything on Netflix and these other streaming channels. So I've seen a lot of things that have inspired me. I would say Bill Gates is a big inspiration for me, watching just how his brain works. I mean, it's almost like a computer. I just enjoy his thought process and the way that he thinks. Another big one is Michael Jordan, just because I love his winning attitude. I love that he is completely focused. And, you know, I think at one point during that documentary on Michael Jordan,
The Last Dance, yep.
Dance, yeah, somebody said that he stopped playing basketball and just learned how to win the game by using momentum. I believe in that a lot. Those are big inspirational people for me. I've recently watched that other documentary on the coaches, and Doc Rivers really says some great things about Ubuntu and other rules that he lives by that I thought were very inspirational as well.
Awesome. For our viewers and our listeners who want to learn more about all things Ali, where is the best place for them to go?
They can always look me up, Ali Hashemian. I'm all over the internet these days. Kinetic Financial is our retail company, so they can always go to kineticfinancial.com. Overtaxedbook.com is the book website. And I have a new website coming out here shortly called alicfp.com. So that's ALICFP.com. That one will be coming out in the next week or so.
Awesome. All right. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. This has been Seth Greene here with Ali Hashemian of Kinetic Financial. Ali, thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure's all mine, Seth. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.